So a couple of you guys were asking about the piston or the engine, that engine that blew up. This is the piston out of it. I did do a little video. I have a little video on TikTok talking about it. But it was, this is the piston that was in that engine that got killed. Now, for you guys that don't know, I'll put a picture in right here right now. And in that picture, you'll see it in the corner here somewhere. Basically, the injector shooting fuel out of one side, terminal meltdown, piston. So basically what happens is on a common rail system, not so much with 12 valves and DP44s because they're only shooting fuel in per se, like, you know, every revolution, there's the plunger shoving fuel in it, right? Where on a common rail, being the system is pressured all the time, it literally just hoses in fuel constantly. So like in that picture, you can see the 3 holes shooting fuel. As the truck is running, it would be doing that as it was running, which in turn burned a hole. This is not the only way that this will happen, but usually what happens with it is if the piston or cylinder overheats, basically you'll get a bunch of scoring to start with, and then usually what happens is as this gets screwed up, it deteriorates, and this stuff, any of this stuff, if it hits the end of the nozzle, it screws the end of the nozzle up, makes it worse. Now on this engine, I know for a fact that it was the injector that killed it and had nothing to do with anything else. It wasn't even a heat related thing. Obviously heat in general killed it, but it wasn't a heat thing because the engine that we took apart, I wish I still had the piston, but it went into scrap bin. The piston that came out of the engine before we rebuilt it almost looked identical to this. And imagine it was even the same cylinder that it cooked. So suffice to say, sucks for him. So anyways, I just thought I'd do that little video. A few guys were asking about it, and that's what happened. So basically, if you have a malfunctioning injector, more on common rail stuff than on 12 valve, but a 12 valve will still do the same thing, just not usually as in the same instance. I guess the way that they do it, it's different. Usually it's just an overheating issue with them, but they still do the same thing eventually. Just the common rail do it like, I don't know how long it was not running properly. Well, probably since the time they started it, but you know, you take it for a drive, it would have killed it. So, and another thing too with these is if you look inside there, you can see there's a cavity inside there. All the common rail pistons are like this. The reason that the common rails will take considerable amount of heat, sustained heat, if you can see those holes down inside there, on this side too. So on this one, the oil squirter on them is right here, and that's the reason you have to have the oil squirters in the proper spot. So it squirts oil in there, it goes around that cavity, like I showed you. It goes around that cavity, and then the oil squirts out those other 2 holes, and that actually pulls heat out of the piston. That's part of the reason the common rails will take more heat for an extended period of time versus a 12 valve. But just throw that little tidbit in there. Anyways, remember, don't be stupid, and it's not rocket science.